Welcome to the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie. And hold on a second. There's something in the distance there. Is it a mirage? What is this figure slowly approaching the situation? Hold on a second. It's my bud Dave. Whoa, holy shit, what is going on?
Woo woo.
There he is.
Here I am.
Hello.
Back. And there's another voice. Another voice in the distance approaching. Like old times. Actually, no, because he was on pretty recent. He was on in the last 2 or 3 months. Adam. The Great Pumpkin Project.
Hello.
He is here as well. The gang.
I think that sounds better than Adam from Great Pumpkin Project. I like Adam Great Pumpkin Project.
That's it. Adam, you are the Great Pumpkin.
I mean, I'd be honored. Somebody put that in print.
You are. Linus is waiting for you. That's basically that's all he wants.
If you saw me pop out of a cornfield or a pumpkin patch at some late hour, like the Great Pumpkin hipster looking dude, that would ruin a lot of people's childhoods.
I don't know. Not for everyone. I'm sure there's some people that would enjoy that. So not totally a bad thing. But yes, we're back talking iconic jack-o'-lanterns. But in the off chance you have no idea who this lovely man is, Adam, the Great Pumpkin Project, please let the audience know what exactly is the Great Pumpkin Project.
So if you are a seasoned listener, you're probably sick of hearing this, for the last 5 years now. Great Pumpkin Project. Carve a pumpkin, put it somewhere random, send it to Great Pumpkin Project on Instagram. Everyone from around the country has participated. I carved 31. It can tend to get miserable, but all in the good name of the spirit of Halloween. And this will be year 10. So how I don't have carpal tunnel from carving, I don't know.
Damn, a decade, Adam.
Yeah, that's scary to think of it.
That's crazy. That's wild, dude. You've been doing this for a decade. So yeah, carve your pumpkins and leave them in cool places. In the off chance you did not know what the Great Pumpkin... If you're a new listener and you're starting with our 5th iconic Jack-O'-Lanterns episode for some reason, now you know who Adam is. Cool, fun activity for you to do this Halloween season.
Actually, can I show you something cool real quick? Because it's literally to my left.
Show it away, buddy.
A friend of mine, for whatever reason, got a whole bunch of free Pumpkin Masters things, because I'm constantly breaking these things. So this is appropriate. There's about 15 in a box a friend sent to me. So
for you.
That's great. You have
I got back.
An entire box of Pumpkin Masters carving tools.
Yeah, I'll be good for the next 10.
Probably not. Those things are pretty cheap.
So yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think you'll probably just make it through one, maybe 2. You'll make it through.
You'll snap at least 2 of them in the month of October, carving 31 jack-o'-lanterns. But yes, we're talking iconic jack-o'-lanterns, and basically what this is we each pick 2 jack-o'-lanterns that we think, to us personally, subjective, is an iconic jack-o'-lantern from the world of film, TV, pop culture, music, etc. We could pull it from anywhere. And
honestly,
it gets pretty ridiculous.
Just a jack-o'-lantern.
It's just a jack-o'-lantern.
In something. Yeah, that's in pop culture.
It's just a jack-o'-lantern that we think is cool. So if you're new, that's what these iconic jack-o'-lanterns, that's basically what these episodes are. Now we're going to start with Adam. Since you're technically the guest, I don't count you as a guest anymore at this point. I think I said that the last time you were on.
A sidekick.
Sidekick. You are the you're the Robin to my Batman, I guess.
I'll take that. Thanks for the comp.
Hit us with your first iconic jack-o'-lantern.
Light bright, turn on the magic of colored lights. Light bright, make a face to glow at night. Smiling friends, shining bright, make a sign to say goodnight.
Just pop in the colored pegs and follow the patterns. It's easy to make your favorite pictures and characters, or you can always create your own light pictures.
Light bright, turn on the magic of shining lights.
Light Bright from Milton Bradley.
All right, so this one, I don't know. I think it borderline's iconic, but if you are of our age, child of the earlier 80s, you know Light Bright. So if you don't know Light Bright, the first thing I got to do is kind of give you an idea of what the hell Light Bright is. Light Bright is a big light board that you put black pieces of paper on, then have little coordinated dots that you put these tiny pigs that I'm sure many kids choked on, snorted, whatever, got stuck in their ear. Out of any 80s toy, this is probably the most problematic.
Snoring sounds
And it's
painful.
not as fun as it looks. Me personally, when I got one, I'm like, this is just annoying. Anyway, so you put these little colored pegs into the light board, they light up, and you create a picture, and then you look at it. So, anyway, first...
It's pretty simple toy.
Listen, it's not He-Man, it's not Thundercats. It was literally a light thing that you make and you look at it, and when you're done, you pull all those little shitty pegs out and put them in a bag or lose them somewhere, your dog eats it, whatever.
But before you continue, Adam,
yeah,
go around the room here.
I know what you're going to
I'll start here. Have any of you owned a Light Bright?
Nope.
Neither have I. I never had one.
I guess I'm the fortunate one to experience the dull, not that great of a time Light Bright was.
Yeah, I remember playing with them at other people's houses, and I just remember the back. It's been probably like 30 years since I've been in front of a Light Bright,
right.
But I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, you'd put like a black cardboard sheet over the light.
It's black paper with like dots, so you already know what the picture is.
It's a stencil.
Yeah.
Basically.
And once you puncture the holes, it's a wrap for that sheet, right? Like you got to put a new one in, if I remember correctly, because you pop those little bulbs into the sheet. It's really like the light bulb behind it illuminating these little plastic colored pieces, and that's what lights up. And I guess Dave's like me; he also never had a Light Bright. It missed us.
You know what I associate the Light Bright with? Remember glowworms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Glowworms.
Those
so
ugly,
anytime I think of Light Bright,
things.
The fucking baby worms.
It was a giant baby worm. What an odd toy to give kids.
I had one of those too, and it was more fun than Light Bright. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Wait. The glowworm, their head glowed, right? If I correct
their head
It
glows.
was like and they had like a sleeping cap on and like a little like shirt. It was fucking weird.
It was bizarre thing to market towards children.
Yeah.
A fucking baby worm. But Adam, continue with the Light Bright.
So now that we've thoroughly trashed Light Bright, on the upside to Light Bright, in the commercial from the 80s, sticking with the theme of the show, somebody creates a pumpkin. And for maybe that half a second that pumpkin shows on the screen, Light Bright is worth it.
That's all.
However, being Halloween people, I'm sure somebody will remember that. Light Bright is a toy, underwhelming. The pumpkin itself, memorable.
I mean, that's honestly what I think of when I think of Light Bright is the jack-o'-lantern.
Dude, so the commercial is iconic into itself. I think I'm pretty sure that commercial aired in the, I think, mid to late 80s into the 90s. And what they would do is just take the new hot thing, so like Disney's Aladdin or The Lion King or some shit, and they would just plug that in with voiceover, editing out the original commercial. So it's hysterical when you watch different versions of the same commercial, because the same kids, but they just take out different portions. And unfortunately, the pumpkin took a hit a couple times with like Aladdin or like some random plant that you can make into a light bright drawing. But as a kid, to focus on the commercial, that jack-o'-lantern is what always stood out to me. Always.
Correct.
It was like the one thing, when you get all nostalgic for stuff, you watch that commercial. Yeah.
The sailboat didn't do it for you?
No, the sailboat. I didn't get all excited about the sailboat. But the one thing, even as like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, however long that commercial ran for, it was always that damn pumpkin, that damn jack-o'-lantern. And honestly, it looks pretty sick. I could imagine sitting around creating that jack-o'-lantern, flicking the light off, and just being in awe of what I did.
Was there a clown? Was there a clown? I could have sworn there was a clown.
I think there is.
that speaks to the iconography of the pumpkin itself. As shitty as Light Bright was, and as mundane and as that commercial, and that actually the jingle's not bad, but pumpkin. That's all you need.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need is that glowing jack-o'-lantern made of plastic pegs. I wonder if kids play with Light Bright in 2024.
I'm sure. There's got to be
You
one
think
or
so?
two. There's got to be a percentage, yes. I would say so.
It's got to be a tiny percentage of
Right.
children that play
Absolutely.
with the Light Bright. I'm sure you could find it on Amazon for like $19.99
Yeah.
next to the Easy Bake Oven. Like kids just having no idea why the fuck did you buy me a Light Bright in 2024 for Christmas? Sorry to mention Christmas, guys, but you know what I mean.
Sure
But yes,
do.
I like this pick, Adam, and
Thank you. You picked it. I just borrowed.
I'm glad I could help you with it. So
Thank you.
the iconic Light Bright jack-o'-lantern. I'm sure most of the listeners would agree. It stood out to all of us and is a fixture of our childhood.
Hello, I'm R.L. Stein. I write the Goosebumps books.
All right, so my first iconic jack-o'-lantern for this year is from the cover of R.L. Stein's Halloween Night, which was published in September of 1993 by the great Scholastic News. Well, so it's Scholastic, but I also remember it being called Scholastic News.
Well,
but that just might have been like a faction of Scholastic. But I'm so used to saying it that way.
It's like I think there's also it's like Scholastic, and then it's Point Horror was like the subtitle, like Goosebumps.
Right.
So I think like this series of books were the Point Horror books, and the Christopher Pike and R.L. Stein and all these authors wrote different books. I'm pretty sure, listeners, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this series of books that Dave's about to talk about, it's part of that series.
And just to dial back a second about Scholastic, and I know you guys can identify with this, is that Scholastic, when you heard Scholastic, and then they were coming to the school for the book fair, that was like a big thing.
That was on par with the TV set in the classroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Perfect. It's perfection.
Yeah, it really is. So, on the book cover, which I have, because I have a first printing of it, because it's a physical media home, and I'm gonna zoom that in there, right there. That's it is.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yes. We have a clear. The tagline is "Trick or treat. The trick is not to die," and
sick.
Such a great tagline. And honestly, weirdly enough, the artist is not credited on the book for the
really
for the it's not.
Oh shit!
Wow.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's Tim Jacobus. I don't think it's him.
No,
that's
it's not.
Way before,
Yeah,
Local
it
boy.
is not. It is not. There's nobody named here, which is weird. So, I'm gonna be honest. This one wasn't in my view at 10 years old because I was 10 when this came out. However, Halloween Night 2,
another sick cover.
Now that's cool.
Now this was on my radar. I was 11 when this came out because this came out literally the following year. I mean, with the teenagers dressed in skeleton costumes, I use this as reference for my Halloween tattoo on my left arm. And just again, it's so great.
These books, honestly, when you think about it, they were really geared towards young adults. So it was probably like high school age. So technically, everyone here was probably too young when these books came. Like, we weren't the audience for them because I think they were more for like 14 and 15 and 16-year-old kids.
So.
When they drop these, especially those two, because there's murder, there's all kinds of shit, violence, a little bit of not sex, but more so like innuendos, kissing and crushes and all that type of bullshit.
Right.
That you don't really want to market to a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old.
It's like Degrassi level. It's like it's
That's
like
a good comparison.
yeah.
So
it's like Degrassi level. So similar to last year's pick, where I chose the jack-o'-lantern from Halloween 2 that's in the window that has a weird human face. This one is similar. We have like a pumpkin patch setting with gooey Halloween night font and a knife sticking all the way through the top, and it's coming out like the end of the on like a tilt, the end of the jack-o'-lantern, and it resembles the face of like a weird human or a monster. Just again, like I said, the one in Halloween 2. and it looks like a face out of Beavis and Butthead. If I could be honest. I mean, it's a weird looking. It has nostrils and stuff.
I'm pretty sure you mentioned Beavis and Butthead last year as well.
I think I did
with the Halloween tune. So I love how Beavis and Butthead have come up for 2 jack-o'-lanterns.
Well, you know what it is? It's because of the nostrils. Yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why. So that's what makes me think of it. So the cover and the UK printing, because there was a regional release for this in the UK. It's just as cool as this one. However, this is a more typical Jacko with a face and expression almost close to a Scary Stories illustration, but mixed with a Tim Jacobus feel.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, it definitely looks airbrushed, a very fitting atmosphere. There's like a swamp and like green neon glow emitting from the background and the pumpkin. There's like a frog and a snail like on the bottom. If you really look at it, there's like a frog and snail.
It's pretty sick.
Is.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll probably in the minority, but I do like the original. I like the US release more than I like the UK release. But they're both sick.
Yeah. The UK release, it's got like a weird eyeball, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's got a human eye. There's a human eye in it.
Which I would say the UK versions probably leans more into the horror, where a 12-year-old could pick it up. The other one, you'd be like, there's a human eyeball inside here. What's going on? Did someone get their head chopped off?
It's a little more surreal.
Yeah.
That one's more surreal. This one's a little more realistic.
I think if you're a Halloween fan, and you're around our age, because I too own a first pressing of both of these books in my bookcase back there. So I think it's a must. You have to, and you can find these books for like $4.
They're a little more than that now.
Have they gone up?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I saw a duo on eBay for like $25, which actually is a very good price.
Nah, not bad.
Not at all.
I think I bought mine for like $1 each or something like that. When I think I found them at like a used bookstore a long time ago. Because I too was too young when these books came out. Did you? So I want to mention this here. Do you know I actually read this book. It's been I was like 20 something years old when I read it. I read both of them back to back. And I vaguely remember. Do you guys know the plot of this book?
So, for me, I remember. I know it has something to do with. I know that the protagonist is a woman, and her friends play a trick on her, right?
Yeah. So it's 2 girls.
I vaguely remember it.
And I think it's the girl's cousin is like the hot one. And I'm using that word loosely here. That's like the thing. It's like, everyone likes her. And she steals the main protagonist that the story's telling, steals her boyfriend. So like this girl's a boy, like she's stealing boyfriends. And their plan is at the Halloween party to play a prank on the girl to get back at her. It's such a silly plot. And I just remember the ending has like 3 twist endings. It's convoluted as shit. It's
very 90s.
Very, very 90s. But yeah, I just thought that was a funny plot. These are like 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds. And they're like, oh, you stole my boyfriend. I'm going to play a prank on you. And the group band together to get back at the bitchy, good-looking cousin or something like that. It's really, really dumb. And I remember Halloween not playing a big part in the script. It's more like towards the end. It leads to Halloween. It's not entirely set on Halloween. So it's like a couple days to the Halloween party when the prank's going to happen. So Halloween night technically is only one small aspect of the book towards the end. But I would agree. The cover sells it. Similar to a VHS tape, this cover sells the book.
That's a good comparison. And just as a little bonus, here's another one, R.L. Stein, Halloween Party.
It's another great one.
And if you look at that jack-o'-lantern, that is very similar to the skull jack-o'-lantern from the Halloween series. Again, like Louis said, it's like a VHS tape. It sells itself.
Adam, what did you think of this pumpkin, this jack-o'-lantern?
So the jack-o'-lantern itself, really cool, really well carved, far beyond my carving abilities. I'm not familiar with I know R.L. Stein, obviously.
Yeah.
Not familiar with the book. I think, showing my age, I'm a little past reading those. I could be wrong. You know what? I'm probably wrong. But no, real good work. Sometimes I think, you're talking the cover of the book sells it. And sometimes those covers are too good. Because when you read the book, you're like, this doesn't capture
pretty much.
intensity of what the cover is, and that's happened a billion times with VHS. So why not paperbacks?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it sells it to the audience that they want to buy
Sure.
these books at the time. So I guess that makes sense. You know, you got this evil-looking, grinning jack-o'-lantern, Halloween. I'm sure I'm sure if we look up the release date, this probably came out close to Halloween or during the
September.
the spooky
September,
season.
it was.
You know, so it makes sense that this would be something they want to hawk to the teens.
They knew what they were doing.
Exactly. And the Halloween Night 2 book is also the one you showed with the skeletons. That's also
That's good too.
That's a great one too. So you always see people kind of grab those covers and like Photoshop out the title and put their own like Halloween party. I think I've seen several people rip off that cover, the one with the skeleton group.
I just saw someone made a show flyer for like a hardcore show with that.
I'm sure.
I just saw it.
Yeah,
Appropriate.
So because it looks like something that would work well for a band to use to promote a tour or something like that. So good pick, Dave. It's classic.
Thank you.
Classic
Yep,
jack-o'-lantern.
that's true.
Hey, Homer, how come you got money to burn? Or singe, anyway?
Yeah, Homer, what's your secret investment?
Take a guess. Pumpkins? Yeah, that's right, Barney. This year I invested in pumpkins. They've been going up the whole month of October. And I got a feeling they're going to peak right around January. And bang! That's when I'll cash in.
So my first pick, we're going back to The Simpsons, which I too brought them up last year. Either last year or the year before, I brought up The Simpsons because I talked about the Great Pumpkin as a concept. So I believe in that, from what I remember, I talked about that episode where the Great Pumpkin comes back to life and kills all of Springfield. And my first pick here, is actually another Simpsons jack-o'-lantern. But what's unique about it is this is not a Treehouse of Horrors episode. It's one of the few times Halloween's brought up in The Simpsons, and it has nothing to do with one of their, one of the episodes we all know and love. Probably some of the best episodes, especially in the early run of The Simpsons, of that series. All the Treehouse of Horrors is a staple of the Halloween season. And this jack-o'-lantern is kind of in a scene that I think is hilarious because it's so on brand for Homer Simpson as a character. Just him being not the smartest guy in the world. And if you're a Simpsons fan, you know he's not the brightest egg. And I'm going to call this the Homer Invests in Pumpkins jack-o'-lantern. So to set up the scene, this is basically what Homer does in an episode that is the entire plot of the 30-minute episode. So what happens is, and real quick, it's episode 17, season 6. The name of the episode is Homer versus Patty and Selma. So Homer gets the bright idea to invest in pumpkins because they're in high demand. So he's at the Moe's Tavern. He's hanging out with all of his boys. They're drinking beer. Homer, why do you have so much money? He's burning money by accident, smoking cigars, drinking beer. And he goes to tell all the guys in the bar that pumpkins are in such high demand right now that he thinks he'll basically break even or peak in January. So you've got this scene, he says, woohoo! And behind Homer is a giant sign that reads, Happy Halloween. And he's oblivious to this, has no idea why. I love how Homer has no clue why pumpkins are so popular right now, and it's because it's October in the Halloween season. So we transition, basically the frame pans over, and it goes to a windowsill, I believe, and there's this really happy, grinning jack-o'-lantern, and it cross dissolves to a rotten one. And that small 2-second scene of that really happy jack-o'-lantern, and the jack-o'-lantern looks great. It looks very kind of early 90s, late 80s. It kind of has that feel to it. And then the transition to a disgusting, rotten, brown, not fresh jack-o'-lantern. And then Homer with his broker explaining to him the mistake he made because of his ignorance. I just love the entire setup of that scene and that pumpkin. I think it's a fun gag and it plays into the rest of the episode. Because in the rest of the episode, and there's even a great line from, I forget if it's Patty or Selma, Marge's sisters, his sister-in-law, two of his sister-in-law, Homer's sisters-in-law, where she tells Homer, you know, they're trying to keep the secret that Homer's broke now because of his pumpkin investment. And the sisters tell Marge he blew all of his money on jack-o'-lanterns. Like, the line delivery is great, and I love it so much.
Imagine walking into a conversation and hearing that. Yeah, he's broke now because of his pumpkin investment. Imagine hearing that.
And it being Homer Simpson is what makes it so believable.
Yeah.
And the whole episode is great because it goes on to, you know, Homer, you know, if you're a Simpsons fan, you know Homer hates Patty and Selma. He hates Marge's sisters. Yeah. And he has to basically borrow money from them, and they make him like their slave, like light our cigarettes, bark like a dog, and all that stupid shit. They're basically taking advantage of him because he borrowed money. Mel Brooks makes an appearance in the episode. There's a subplot where Bart Simpson becomes a ballerina. He takes up like dancing and he was wearing a mask. It's a great episode. But the pumpkin investment with Homer is by far one of my favorite gags in The Simpsons. Just the existence of The Simpsons.
I don't think I've ever seen this episode.
It's great.
I obviously watched the clip, and I think even better than the jack-o'-lantern is the actual, you know, like the concept.
Yeah.
It works better. Like, it's just such a stupid concept.
It's so dumb. Him going, woohoo! And then there's a giant Happy Halloween banner behind him. It's so good because he's so oblivious to
They're
not
all smoking
knowing.
Cigars and shit.
Yeah.
It's just fucking it's silly.
Dude, I wish like you can visit Moe's Tavern at Universal Studios, but I wish there was like an actual bar in like New York that was just like Moe's Tavern, like a more realistic take on it, because I would love to hang out, like being a fan of The Simpsons, and always it's one of those shows I put on in the background. Like every time I see shots, like I would love to be in Moe's Tavern on Halloween. That's got to be the shittiest, grimiest place to be, but it's probably great.
Sure.
So like that's Halloween at Moe's Tavern, which we never really get to see in any Treehouse of Horror episodes. Well, you get to see it, but not in this context.
That's cool.
You know, and I just love this whole gag. Adam, what'd you think of Homer's investment in investment in pumpkins?
So I've never seen the episode, but obviously the clip does it justice. Two things I first thought. Let me just check out my notes. As soon as he talks about selling pumpkins in January, I cackled. I'm just like, that's a very Homer thing.
Yeah.
And the second thing was, it's like, okay, how does he try and recoup his money for all the dead pumpkins? Like, what would he be able to do to get money back? Like, just sell a shit ton of pumpkin seeds?
Yeah.
But yeah, the rotted pumpkin especially looked good to me. I dug it.
I love it. I've been holding on to this pick for a while. I've just like I've had it in the bank waiting for us to.
I also love that you have like a list.
Oh, dude, I make a list. I'll
He's
watch
smart.
something and see jack-o'-lanterns, and I'll just jot it down on my notepad on my phone just to make sure. Like, all right, that's a cool jack-o'-lantern. And my two picks in this episode are two picks I've just been holding on to for a little while, just because. Like, they're cool. I just love the concept. And I forget about this gag because during the Halloween season, you don't see many people mention it. They don't mention the Homer investing in pumpkins gag. Right. Because it's literally the entire episode lies in Homer making this poor choice and him being a complete moron, and the rest of the episode. And the fact that the word jack-o'-lantern is uttered again later by Patty or Selma. I can never tell them apart. They look exactly the same and sound the same. Is great. And it's just a great pumpkin. Dave, you already said your thoughts on this, but do you have anything else to elaborate on about this pick?
No, you know, it's I forgot what company did it, but it's a Treehouse of Horror pin, but someone made a pin of Homer as Jason. You know, he's got, I'm sorry, not as Jason. As Homer wearing a Jason mask and a chainsaw.
I can get you the company because I've been to that guy's store, and there's a million Homer Simpson Halloween things. He does like a Michael Myers stuff. Tons. I'll get you those Instagram if you want to buy one.
Well, so I actually do have the pin, But
Oh.
I could see somebody making the rotted one as a pin.
Yeah.
Should.
Both of them are
Yeah,
great.
you don't really see that, honestly. You don't really see many rotted jack-o'-lantern pins.
No. And honestly, even us, we haven't really picked many rotten pumpkins, like rotten
but now-
jack-o'-lanterns. Well, now we have one.
Now the fucking plane
No.
is getting bigger.
Yes. Well, the first time I think Dave is the only guy to pick a rot. He picked the Pumpkinhead cover pumpkin.
Yes.
And that's sort of a rotted, because in that movie, all the pumpkins are rotted.
Yeah.
So I kind of am cheating because I'm picking two pumpkins here. You've got the fresh pumpkin after Homer
That's
thinks
okay.
he's made it big with money and his investment. And then you've got the transition to the rotted pumpkin. So the rotted jack-o'-lantern. So two jack-o'-lanterns for the price of one here at Haunted Hangover.
Boom.
I spent the whole night waiting for the great pumpkin when I could have been out for tricks or treats. Halloween is over and I've missed it! You blockhead!
All right, so for my second pick, I'll start by saying impossible to get information on. But I promise you, if you are in any kind of retail store, specifically Home Goods, Michaels, TJ Maxx, whatever, dumps all their Halloween stuff out, anywhere that has Peanuts stuff, meaning Charlie Brown, normally you want to associate Charlie Brown with the Great Pumpkin. However, every single piece of Peanuts merch that relates to Halloween has the same looking pumpkin with slight variations on the eyes, with Snoopy on it, whatever. It's everywhere. And it's fantastic. It looks great. And I'm sure when you edit the episode together, you'll be putting pictures of it. I'll send you the ones I've screenshotted. I've looked up the artist, which I'm assuming has to be Charles Schultz, but I can't reference a particular comic strip that this thing has been in. Yeah, it gives you nothing to work off. Because I'm like, okay, when did this pumpkin first appear? Can't find that. Who technically drew it? Can't find that. It's on every piece of everything. Mugs, blankets, Funko Pop. The Snoopy Funko Pop has that one on there. But it is, per, like, population density wise, it's the most, like, pop culture pumpkin you're ever going to see. And nobody knows what it is. You know, I can't find any additional info on it. But now that we've mentioned it and now that you're aware of it, you are going to see it everywhere.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen it 1,000 times over. To me, if you were to have no context and not know who, you know, where that pumpkin's from, where that jack-o'-lantern's from,
Yeah.
it reminds me of, and this might sound weird to some, but I think some might agree with me too. It reminds me of a pumpkin that Cause would draw. I don't know if that makes sense. Kaws, the artist Cause.
Yeah, not a
it
fan.
looks like a Cause. It looks like a Cause design.
What? The guy who did the garbage monster cereals like 2-3 years ago, right?
Yes. With the X's as eyes. Yeah.
Trash.
But hey, you're allowed to think that. I'm just saying it reminds me of like a graffiti adjacent or kind of art adjacent jack-o'-lantern. If you were to not know what it was from, and if you were to just to see it on its own, that's what it reminds me of.
I could see that. You know what's weird about it too? And I'm pretty sure it's not in the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. You never see that in the
No, it's
special.
definitely not. I checked.
So that's what's really weird about it. So this was specifically created to sell Peanuts Halloween merch.
Correct.
So that's what's kind of wild about it. So someone went out of their way to draw this and, okay, we'll put this on blankets, we'll put this on mugs, we'll put this on dog. You showed us your dog is wearing a little sweater with it, with that image printed on it.
You can put him in the episode if you want.
There you go. You'll be seeing him right here.
Alfie's cameo.
So it's a cute design. I could see people. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have this tattooed on them. I could easily see that. That's probably it's probably a popular tattoo with like every Halloween woman out there. They probably have this on their leg or something like that. So
whatever. I mean, what makes it weirder is, I mean, let's be honest. Charlie Brown's most popular for the Great Pumpkin. You know, it's not like, you know, the casual fan is not going to know anything except for the Great Pumpkin or whatever.
Or Snoopy. It's either that or Snoopy.
Well, I'm saying like episode wise or
right.
anything
Okay, I
within
got
the
you.
universe of it. They're not going to know anything besides the Great Pumpkin. And that has nothing to do with the Great Pumpkin at all.
Yeah.
Because there is no Great Pumpkin. They don't see it. So they need some kind of image to reel people in.
In the lore, this is the Great Pumpkin. Snoopy's
I'm okay with it. I like it. It's a good jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah. He's just resting on it. He doesn't even know. He's so oblivious to the he's chilling on the Great Pumpkin's head. So yeah, it's interesting that this was just something that exists in the world of Peanuts, and there's really no context, there's no information, there's no if you look it up, you'll find it all over the internet. But
sure.
You know, and if any of the listeners maybe know if this was an original drawing, if this pops up in an episode, maybe that's not a Halloween one, and our knowledge of the Peanuts is not up to snuff, and maybe it's in an episode that's not similar to my Homer pick in The Simpsons, how it's featured in an episode that's not necessarily a Halloween special, but it pops up in it for 2 seconds. That might be it. That'd be hilarious if it's just in a random episode and they just pulled it from that and then used it to like hawk Halloween merch. So I think I have bed sheets with this on it that I got at like Home Goods. Like my wife bought them like 3 or 4 years ago, and we put them on I think during Halloween, like during the Halloween season. So
makes sense.
I've seen it, I know it, and I'm sure if you ask most people, their first instinct is probably say, "Oh, this is the Great Pumpkin," more than likely.
Probably,
so like it's from the Great Pumpkin, just like.
Yeah.
First thing that they think of. So, good pick, Adam.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very obscure, deep cut one.
What is this? A man or a melon?
A pumpkin, if you please. My name's Jack. Jack Pumpkinhead.
Here is my second pick for 2024. And this is a very simple overview of this because I think it could be its own episode if you really wanted to make it its own episode.
I agree.
So this is a very skimmed down synopsis of this character, and that is Jack Pumpkinhead, a character from the land of Oz, created by Frank L. Baum. I think I pronounced that properly. Has appeared in the books, etc., and films. This version specifically I chose is the one from 1985's Return to Oz. Now this is via Wikipedia. Jack Pumpkinhead is a major character in the 1985 live-action stop-motion film Return to Oz. He was created by Princess Ozma to scare the witch Mombi, and I hope I pronounced those properly.
I'm pretty sure you did.
But was instead more afraid of her. When Oz and the Emerald City were taken over by the tyrannical witch, he was thrown away in the palace attic where he later encountered Dorothy and helps her to save the land of Oz. I have seen this movie. I do not remember it very much at all. Of course, I remember this character. This character is not hard to forget. I'm sorry. Did I say that right? Yeah, you cannot forget this character. Like, especially if you're a Halloween person.
100%.
And, yeah. And, he's made from literal sticks and a pumpkin. And clearly resembles Jack Skellington. And I'm pretty sure Tim Burton has said that it was, like, almost a direct inspiration to Jack Skellington, because it looks pretty much...
It looks like the version of Jack Skellington that's pretending to be a scarecrow before they light him up on fire, and then he flips and jumps into that fountain and then comes out looking like himself. Like that pre-version that he's hidden in is what this character looks like.
Right. So it's a no-brainer that it was obviously an influence. Jack is tall and pencil thin. And I believe the way they pulled it off with the movie is they got a very thin actor, and the head was an animatronic head, or part of it was.
You're 100% right.
Yeah. Which is cool. I actually really want to... I have this in my note at the end, but I'll just say it now. I want to revisit this movie, because it looks awesome. Like, I want to see it. It's high. I put it high on my watch list.
It's bizarre. It is a strange, dark, weird movie. To go back to Jack, the Pumpkinhead, or Jack Pumpkinhead, I should say, not the Pumpkinhead, even though he is a Pumpkinhead. You're right about the way they created him, because I looked it up too. It's basically an actor, and then there's an animatronic on. And dude, when you watch the movie, it's flawless. It's almost
crazy.
Uncanny Valley looking because of how
Real it
perfect
looks.
they were able to achieve it. It's kind of crazy that, for a movie from 1985, they were able to kind of have an actor portray this character for and he's basically one of Dorothy's companions that she meets along the way. It's like him, TikTok, a chicken. It's fucking strange. You've got like a soldier Tin Man and then a random chicken that talks. Dude, the movie is fucking bonkers.
I want to watch it. I'm going to try to watch it this week.
There's severed heads in it at one point that talk. There's this giant rock king. There's like the Gnome King sequence that I believe Will Vinton was responsible for, all the claymation faces. But the rock, like the Gnome King and all of his people are scared of chickens. They have a fear of chickens. So since Dorothy has a chicken and it lays eggs, they don't want it near them. It's a crazy movie. But the one funny thing I always got a kick out of with Jack is that he calls Dorothy mommy the whole movie. He's like, mommy, save me. And she's like, I'm not your mom. And I think his whole purpose, like you said, was for him. He was created to scare Momba, or whatever, the evil witch.
But he ended up being afraid.
He ended up being afraid. Yeah, it's like he's like almost like a subversion of the Scarecrow.
Right, like a reverse Scarecrow.
Reverse Scarecrow in a way. But yeah, dude, it's a crazy just effect to look at, and him just kind of walking around. You know what else is a weird friend she makes in that movie? They attach a moose head to a couch with wings, and it flies. Dude,
somebody's doing acid.
I just really want to watch
literally,
this movie.
like when you think about the different friends because that's like that's like the Wizard of Oz thing. She meets people along the way that are her gang that help her get home and beat the evil force and all that. And it's like a couch that's a moose head, a chicken, a chubby Tin Man, and then Jack Pumpkinhead. It's fucking crazy. It's just weird.
I want to just highlight his outfit really quickly.
Okay.
So he's wearing purple pants with sewn on patches all over the legs. He has a pink shirt on with like solid white bubbles, a red vest, suspenders, and I believe a green scarf. But I've seen like other iterations of him where he's got like a red shirt on and blue jeans, and there's a few. That's why I said this is its own episode in itself. So I just wanted to keep it pretty simple with it.
Yeah, because there's the novels, there's like the books, the movie, there's all kinds of shit revolving around these. The Wizard of Oz series of books are so in depth. They're like Lord of the Rings status.
Yeah.
There's like tons of characters. You think of the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, but then there's also Jack and like I said, the couch, the flying couch, and the chicken and all that shit. So crazy movie, man. That would be a fun movie, even though it's not Halloween related, but that'd be a fun movie to cover on the show in the future.
And you could watch it during Halloween. I feel like it's enough. It's adjacent
scary,
enough.
Dude.
Yeah,
dude. I remember renting it as a kid and watching it and being like, this is nothing like The Wizard of Oz that I remember, as a sequel. There's no singing. Yeah. There's weird shit going on. Kind of crazy. Adam, what about you? What's your thoughts on Jack the Pumpkinhead?
So I've never seen the movie.
What?
I've been meaning to see the movie forever. I've seen maybe a 15-second clip of the rollers and everything.
Oh, they're like the flying monkeys, but in Return to Oz. It's weird.
But just based off that alone, I'm like, what in the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is just through Halloween stuff and Wizard of Oz stuff, you see him, and you're like, why am I not more familiar? So I intended to watch it before this episode. Didn't get around to it, but like that's a pretty big character that is severely underused. I mean, obviously you're not going to go and remake the original Wizard of Oz with that in it, or shoehorn, a reboot with it, but like that's a really good character. That's not underused.
Doesn't have really any light shined on, or
that's true.
Shined on it. I don't know how you say it, but you're right. It's true. It's very I don't want to say obsolete, but it's like when I was doing research for my picks, I was like, oh wait, I forgot about this.
How we've not used that.
Right.
It is ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, you don't see him used during the Halloween season. Right now, it's the spooky season.
No kind of branding at all.
You don't ever see people use him in any way on a shirt. Like pins, we mentioned pins. You never see pins of the character, especially like in the Halloween horror scene.
Right.
Really weird.
But I wonder if that has anything to do with like licensing, and maybe it's just like really hard to license. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure the Wizard of Oz is in the public domain.
Is it?
I think it's
but the Wizard of Oz, the movie, is public domain. I'm sure it's different when it comes to a sequel.
I think the books. I mean, the movie. It's 1985, so yeah, that's not public domain. But I think the novels are public domain. I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's why anyone can make like an Oz movie, or I don't know if you guys remember back in like the 80s and 90s, there would be animated versions of the Wizard of Oz that anyone can do. So I don't think getting the rights was difficult. I just think people forget about Jack the Pumpkinhead, and that's why like, in the Halloween world we don't see him that often. So I mean, it's a great pick. It's a great jack-o'-lantern. I too had him on my list. So I'm glad you picked him, Dave, so that we could talk about Jack the Pumpkinhead. I don't think this will be the last time he comes up on, Haunted Hangover. I could see us maybe doing a deep dive in the whole character and a whole episode just talking about him and other things the character does and in the story, and dive a little deeper research on him, because it is a really cool character. And just, if you've never seen Return to Oz, do yourself a favor and watch it just for Jack Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, I plan on watching it this week.
Watch it. You're gonna love it. It's so it's like nightmare fuel. Just some of the sequences are just it's insanity. It's crazy. And then Fairuza Balk is like 9, running away with a chicken chasing her, like not chasing her, but running alongside her, and it's just crazy. But yeah. Good pick, Dave. I'm glad we finally got to show Jack Pumpkinhead a little love. It's a
Absolutely.
Five of these iconic Jack-o'-lantern episodes, and we're just now talking about Jack Pumpkinhead. So good stuff.
Better late than never.
So our last pick here is a gnarly one. Pretty grotesque, pretty fucking nasty. And honestly, out of the entire group here of iconic jack-o'-lanterns, the most recent jack-o'-lantern. It's the one that popped up when I was playing the game. This is from a video game. And I had to write it down, jot it down, and say, I have to talk about this on the show because it's a first, which is kind of crazy too, considering the franchise it pops up in. And that is the Pumpkinhead Happy Halloween fatality from Mortal Kombat 1. So for any listeners, and you guys, maybe you're not familiar, Mortal Kombat 1 is the latest installment in the series, the latest. I'm pretty sure most people know what Mortal Kombat is, but maybe you don't know. You know the old games, maybe not the new games. It is the latest installment in the Mortal Kombat franchise. It came out last September, funny enough. So it's been out for about a year now, literally a year. It's been out. And what this is there was I believe this happened either earlier this year or late last year. I forget the exact date when they released this, but they had a fatality holiday pack that featured 3 fatalities, one for Halloween, one for Thanksgiving, and one for Christmas. And I will say this right now, all 3 of them are nasty. And the new Mortal Kombat games, dude, we joke around, people around our age. We played the original MK2. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan, always have been. Don't get to play nearly enough because I'm so busy, but I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. And back in the day, you get the spine, head, fatality, the heart came ripping out the heart. Dude, the fatalities now are so nasty that it's almost like X-rated shit. Like, you're like, wow, this is like some faces of death. Like, they're so disgusting, some of these fatalities they have now. Like, I know I'm focusing on the Halloween one, obviously, but like the Thanksgiving one in this pack of fatalities is gross. It's nasty. And so is the Halloween one. So what this fatality
Somebody
is,
gets stuffed, right?
Yes, someone. Yes,
Okay.
no, they get stuffed in a different way, and there's some projectile vomiting and eyeballs exploding. It's disgusting.
Cool.
And then with today's graphics, it looks fucking nasty. Like it just doesn't look. It's not something you want to see, but you're like, it's kind of cool to see like Cyrax ripping out reptiles. You know, stuffing a turkey down reptile's throat and then stomping on his stomach and his eyeballs. It's crazy shit. So what this,
I love that Cyrax is still kicking.
Yes, Cyrax, my boy Cyrax is still around. But yeah, so what this fatality is, basically, and for any younger listeners, a fatality is after you beat the person up, you put in this right. You know, you hit the buttons the right way. For you, down, up, punch, lower kick.
It's a prompt. It's basically a prompt.
Yes, there you go. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Articulating that much better than I am right now. But yes, the prompt. You put in the correct code of numbers, not numbers, but on the keyboard
directions.
The directions, yes, on the controller, and you can kill your character, the opposing player, in a really nasty, disgusting, violent way. So what this kill is your character beats the other person up. They're unconscious. They're just kind of sitting there dazed. They grab a jack-o'-lantern, slam it on the player's head. And then what ends up happening is, a la Halloween 3, Season of the Witch,
definitely a nod.
Yes, 100%. It's definitely, you're right. It is a nod. That was the inspiration for this fatality.
Gotta be. So, Pumpkin gets slammed on the player's head. Insects. I think there's like centipedes, roaches, all kinds of nasty. And if you hate insects, you're going to hate this fatality. Start to pour out of the orifices of this jack-o'-lantern. And the player kneels down because they're bleeding and they're all fucked up from all the insects munching on their face. And the other player, your player, runs up, kicks the jack-o'-lantern with their heads still inside, decapitating them. The jack-o'-lantern with the severed head lands on a porch, but hits the front door, ringing a bell, falls, jack-o'-lantern falls apart, and inside you see the severed head of the player. Whatever player you're playing as, if you're Scorpion, if you're Sub-Zero, if you're Johnny Cage, Kano, Liu Kang, whoever, the head, it's unique to the player's head. It's just sitting there. And what I love about this is the setting they create for this fatality is the most autumn. It's a beautiful setting. It looks like what you would think of a Halloween like doorstep or the front of a house. There's a bunch of other jack-o'-lanterns that are all happy looking. There's a scorpion like statue holding a pail, a trick-or-treat pail. And then there's like another corpse next to it that looks like a scarecrow. There's an MK jack-o'-lantern with the Mortal Kombat dragon logo carved into it. There's a Halloween mat, a Halloween wreath that says Happy Halloween. There's fall leaves everywhere. It is the most beautiful Halloween setting you will ever see. One of. But it's also the grisliest setting you'll ever see with this disgusting severed head and bugs pouring out of it. It is so good, and I just love it. I just thought it was, when I saw it, I was like, this is fucking awesome. So, a few things I wanted to add to this. I have never played any of the games after Mortal Kombat. Well, you said this is Mortal Kombat 1, so I don't know how to go about it.
It's a reboot of the series. It's another dimension timeline. It's convoluted. I'm not going to get into it, but that's why it's called Mortal Kombat 1.
Well, Mortal Kombat 3, the original Mortal Kombat
trilogy,
3,
right?
If I
remember.
Whatever it was, the one that had Stryker, Cyjax, and Cyrax, Noob Saibot, Smoke, all those dudes.
Yo, my boy Noob Saibot.
So when that was the last one I played. I know the game has evolved insanely. Watching this was a lot of fun because I've never played it. You could tell this is like a labor of love when it comes to people that dig Halloween or holidays in general. Like, to make a pack of fatalities as an add-on specifically for holidays, I mean, to me is like kind of like a labor of love, if you will. And yeah, that was really, really fun to watch. I thought I saw trick-or-treaters on the stoop. I guess maybe that's the statue was what you were talking about.
Is what you're talking about. Yeah, it's funny. There's like this kind of obviously it's all animated, but there's like a almost softer, cuter version of Scorpion holding a pail out in like a statue,
right.
And it's fucking funny. And what's cool is they actually decorated, I believe it's either all the levels or the levels during that time of year where you can, if you use the fatality, the level also is decorated. So you see that Scorpion in the background.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's like a pool and you see a skeleton just sitting in the pool. There's other Halloween decorations all over the level as you're fighting the main fight.
Right.
I love it, dude. And the fact that it took them this long to finally incorporate a Halloween fatality and holidays in general, you know?
Because they had all, like, Mortal Kombat has, like, always been doing, like, silly, like, not even just fatalities. You had the babalities, you had the friendships, like,
Animality.
the friendships. The animalities, like, the friendships were the funniest thing because, like, they were just, like, what are they like? The babalities when they turned him into fucking little infants.
Yeah.
The friendships when like they would just hold their hand up and like go like this with them.
Friendship.
Like it's just fucking great.
Remember that? So stupid. The voiceover.
So stupid.
So good. It was great though. But it's so over the top. This is insanely violent. This is not for children. But you know, as kids, you know, there's a 12-year-old that's loving this Halloween kill. I get to kick someone's head off and it's inside of a jack-o'-lantern smashing on someone's porch. So good. Yeah. The whole thing is...
Yeah, it's a good pick.
It's great, yeah. And I wanted to... As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm 100% mentioning this shit on the podcast. I had to mention it on the show. So that's my pick. Adam, what'd you think, man?
You basically summed it up how I would. The fatality's cool. The porch is cooler.
Yeah,
like I'm like, what a weird spot for the most like ambient, perfect Halloween porch setting. So you said it all. But it's perfect.
It's got the recipe for the perfect Halloween setting, the reference to Halloween 3, the autumn feels, the jack-o'-lantern, which is what I'm focusing on, which is the centerpiece of the kill, is the jack-o'-lantern being slammed on someone's head and being kicked off. It's perfect. It's legitimately perfect. It's so good.
Unrelated, is Cabal in this one?
I don't remember. Cabal was sick with the hooks and the gas mask. He was fucking crazy. I don't remember.
He was awesome.
I'll be honest, dude. I've had Mortal Kombat 1 for over a year, and I've barely been able to play it because I just haven't had the time. He had that one move where he would throw he would throw those saws, and they would come out from under the ground and grind you up, and then come back. Cabal was cool.
That shit was awesome.
Didn't he run past you and spin you too? That was his other thing. I remember, yeah. He would like run so fast past you that he would just spin around like that. And then I remember his fatality. He would take his mask off and his face was so scary. It would scare you to death. Yo.
How great. That's so clever. But it's clever.
It is.
Like it's so good.
He was so ugly that he killed you, just scared you to death, Cabal.
Right,
so
it was like
good.
seeing Large Marge when Large Marge does the reveal, and then you get like that's what it was like, and then I love that. I stuff like that to me is really great.
Yeah, and if you're someone like me and like us, we're too busy to play games all day and do all this stuff, I highly recommend any of the listeners, if you're not familiar with this fatality, just Google Mortal Kombat 1 or MK1 Halloween, Happy Halloween fatality, and you will see, I'll put some images in the episode, but you have to see it in action. You have to see this fatality. If you love Halloween, it's a must watch. So good.
Definitely.
One of the best. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite picks. In the 5 times we've done these iconic jack-o'-lanterns, it's one of my favorite picks. And Dave and I, we covered Halloween 3 a few years ago for Patreon, and it just reminded me, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, fuck, it's
the first thing that came to my head.
Yeah, it's a Halloween 3 reference too, so sick. It's good. Right. Highly recommend go on YouTube. Check out this Halloween kill. It's glorious.
Dude, I'm going to go watch the Cabal fatalities on YouTube.
Cabal wins. Brutality.
All right, guys, so if you had to pick a jack-o'-lantern, excluding your own, from the group, which one would you pick? Adam, let's start with you.
Jack Pumpkinhead, because it's mind-boggling to me that wasn't done in the first 2 years. Just out of ridiculousness. Nothing will beat the Joe Pera episode. I just want to state that. Changed my life. Changed my
I'm so glad.
Best pick of all time. Like,
Yeah,
I had countless hours watching that show.
I love how we get a Joe Pera
best.
reference again a year later after doing this.
Yeah.
Right, but in this iteration of the show, Jack Pumpkinhead.
All right.
Wait, really quickly, I just gotta say something about Joe Pera. So I was looking at his merch, like, because he has like a merch page, because he's doing all those tours and stuff now.
Yeah.
And he had there was a dad hat that I want to buy, and it just is it's just a tree, and it says the name of the tree, and that's it. That's all it is. It just says Joe Pera on the. I don't know, but it's just like a pine tree, and it says pine tree. It's just great.
I bought the bathroom
Joe
book.
Pera. What'd you say?
Adam, what'd you say?
There's a thing. It's things to think about while you're in the bathroom, but not pooping. It's called. I bought that. It's fantastic. It's weird as hell.
He's great.
We love Joe Pera here at Haunted Hangover.
Yeah.
Dave, which jack-o'-lantern you're going with?
Probably the Mortal Kombat one.
Yes, very, very good. There's no... I just gushed about it for 5 minutes, so...
Yeah, definitely Mortal Kombat.
I unfortunately cannot pick my own, so I too will go with Jack Pumpkinhead.
Awesome.
He's so good. Jack Pumpkinhead's winning 2024's iconic Jack-o'-lantern award.
Yeah.
It goes to Jack Pumpkinhead.
I couldn't believe we never did that when I looked it up. I was like, we never did this one. And I knew it, because sometimes I forget what we pick, and I'm just like, no, I know we didn't do this.
Jack Pumpkinhead, the MVP of the 2024 Halloween season here at Haunted Hangover.
Okay.
Our boy Jack Pumpkinhead. So he's taken the award this year for iconic jack-o'-lanterns.
Well, my mother built me to scare that awful witch Mombi.
So that was iconic jack-o'-lanterns part 5. Adam, as always, thank you once again for being here and helping us dive into all these pumpkins.
Thanks for having me. It's a yearly tradition. Love it.
Where can people find you?
At Great Pumpkin Project on Instagram. Send your pictures. Participate. You know how it goes.
Oh, yeah. So very, very big moment for me this year is that I finally put out my first photo book. And it is titled with an image. It does not ever say it on the book. But it is called Box Cutter, and it is loosely based off of B.R. Yeager's Negative Space, and the word I'm looking for I can't even think of, but the response to it has been very overwhelming, which I was not anticipating, and you can get it through Filthy Loot, that's the publisher. It is on its second printing. The first printing sold out, and yeah. I also created a playlist for it, which you can find on Spotify, which is called Box Cutter. And I released a 4-song EP called Box Cutter Beat. So I did the whole kit and caboodle for this release.
And be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com where you can find links to everything, including our Patreon page, where we post episodes early and have bonus content exclusive to the page.
And if you can rate and review us, that would be greatly appreciated.
And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is...
more booze.
Catch you guys later.